So in your daily practice and work, how do you decide on what the focus of a learning project might be?
Yeah, so the focus of learning inquiry, I think, is to witness children's fully engagement in their own question and their own wondering, and follow up by their own planning and reflection. So at KU Bradfield Park, we call it our stakeholders meeting. This will help all the stakeholders decide which thread we will pick to move forward with the learning. So it is really a culture of child-led learning more than I sort of just jumped in and hijack children's offering. So
Mm.
this is the most fascinating and exciting part of the learning that I learn with the children. And so I can hear the debates and wait for them to take my hand and lead my way. So it is always a surprise to me because children's offering is unpredictable. And this is the truly joy of teaching and learning together with the children, that means we learn together and we learn from each
Right.
other.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what some of the factors are when you're making that decision with children, with other staff? I mean, because I think when you're following a project of inquiry, there can be so many possible threads that you might follow. Are you always clear on which thread you will follow? And if you are or aren't, how do you tackle that uncertainty?
My key focus is always about children's perspective, what they are really paying attention to, and what they're really trying to figure out, what children's curiosities are, and what about their theories. I like to just testing those theories with the children, and sometimes I ask myself, do I really hear them? Do I really hear the children listen to their questions? Is there any knowledge that I'm not aware of that they're trying to tell me and guide me through the project?
Mm.
So I don't really plan for a learning project ahead. Um, this means I don't choose a topic for them to explore. It has to come from the children. Usually, it is starting with children's questions and wonderings, or a simple phrase they use for like on a daily basis. But sometimes it can be a moment I see them and wonder what they're doing. So it really depends on whether we listen to children and how we take children's point of view, how we draw our attention to children's attention, whether we want to think alongside with them. How do we carefully choose the learning material to support their 100 languages to move forward with their learning? So I never know or identify a project until we finish it. Then I will realize, oh, I turn around and I realize, oh, it's actually a project. But we do a lot of stakeholder meeting to relaunch and revisit our previous learning and to just build on and expand our perspectives together.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because what I'm hearing you say there is that you are as much in that journey with the children as they are. You're open to the possibilities. You're always critically reflecting on the things they say and the experiences you offer and their responses to them. And you maybe, as a teacher or as an educator, are thinking, oh, are they pursuing this idea? But you don't have to lay that down in concrete before you begin. It's really about following their lines of inquiry, which, as we know, including our own lines of inquiry, it can be quite messy. It can be quite uncertain. And I guess what I'm hearing, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's that idea that it's actually okay for it to be messy, that your role is as a researcher, with and alongside children, and your role is to choose materials, to document how children respond to them, to wonder about the learning that's happening, and then to take little steps forward, but maybe sometimes some steps backwards as well.
Yeah, sometimes I sit back a lot and just watch them and have my own thinking. What I always remind myself to just think, sit in the thinking space with the children, because sometimes I really don't know what's the learning all about. I have to just be a bit more patient with them. rather than just putting my own kind of agenda and saying, oh, this is it, I have to do this with you, and I pre-plan everything. It's never worked that way.
No, and it sort of shuts down inquiry if you've already decided all of the directions that it can possibly go in. I really love that you embrace that uncertainty, which, you know, that's something Malaguzzi told us, isn't it? You know, never have too many certainties, and to really embrace the idea that it's a journey of discovery for the educator as much as for the children. And for me, that really ignites teaching, because no day will be the same as the previous day. And yet you're building on the previous days and the previous explorations and the previous understandings about what children might be interested in.